in a Eulich jersey before the game too. So hey, Baker Mayfield was pickup of the week right here. Plus he brought the Browns to a win, and he's just named the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Another rookie that just got named the starter today is Josh Rosen, actually, for the Cardinals. Bradford hasn't really done anything this year. They're going to unleash the rookie now, and they named him the starter for this week as well. So 2 rookie quarterbacks you can definitely take a look at. A third quarterback, actually, you can take a look at would be C.J. Beathard. Not really going to recommend picking him up. You might want to wait a week to see how well he plays. But he does have the weapons in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And with Jimmy G gone for the year, he's going to be starting the rest of the year. So he definitely is a guy you want to take a look at. A rookie wide receiver. This is a little rookie theme today. Calvin Ridley from the Falcons. He's only owned in 43% of leagues right now. He had a monster week this past week. He has exploded for 3 scores and 146 receiving yards. More touchdowns than actually Julio Jones had all last year. So definitely got one guy you want to pick up.
It's amazing.
Looks like they're going to be, yeah, it's just crazy. But he's definitely got the talent, and Ryan's definitely looking to him. So that's another guy you want to take a look at on the waiver wire this week. A guy we were just discussing last week, and we touched base on a little bit here in the beginning of the show. Wendell Smallwood and Corey Clement. They're both going to be getting touches now with Jai out. The guy you want to own there, though, is going to be Corey Clement. He got 19 touches compared to 13 for Smallwood, but Smallwood did look good as well in his limited carries that he did have. So either one of those guys on the waiver wire, definitely target Corey Clement before Wendell Smallwood, though. But both those guys would be nice pickups for this week. Mm-hmm. Another guy with A.J. Green banged up, like Kiev was saying, Tyler Boyd. I know we talked about him the last couple weeks, but he had another monster game as well. He had 6 catches on 7 targets for 132 receiving yards and a score. So big week for him. Green is hobbled at all this week again. He could have another big week this week as well. So another receiver you want to look at. Old Packer actually here, old man Jordy, for the Oakland Raiders. If anyone's dropped him or they didn't draft him in your league, which I find highly unlikely, but only owned in 52% of leagues right now. He had a big week this past week as well. He had a 6-catch, 173-yard performance in week 3. So definitely he can explode at any time. So definitely a guy you might want to take a look at as well if no one owns him. Oldie but goodie, Andy Dalton. Another guy you want to take a look at this week. He's been putting up some nice numbers so far this year. With Jimmy G gone, he could be a nice veteran quarterback to pick up if you don't want to take a chance on any of the rookies that we talked about. So Andy Dalton, he's been putting up solid numbers, so he's a guy you could definitely take a look at. And then another running back, Javarius Allen, we did discuss him last week. He had another solid game again this week, actually. So if no one does have him, definitely look at picking up Javarius Allen. He's getting all the targets in the passing game there. Collins really hasn't busted out yet this year either, so definitely a guy you want to take a look at is Javarius Allen if no one has him in your leagues right now. Yeah. And then another guy we did discuss was Marcus Murphy last week, but actually Chris Ivory is going to be the guy in Buffalo with Sean McCoy out. He got all the carries this week. He had 126 yards total with McCoy out, so definitely a guy you want to look at if McCoy is still going to be out this week. And the Packers defense, even though I hate to say it, they did not look good at all. And with Wilkerson out, their defense is going to even be weaker with one of their best run stoppers on the D-line. Then a couple tight ends, actually, that I like this week. Dallas Goedert for the Philadelphia Eagles. With all the receiving corps still banged up, with Wallace out for a while and Jeffrey still not back. He had team-high targets and 7 targets. He caught out 7 passes for 73 yards and a score. So definitely another guy you want to take a look at. And then 2 tight ends from tonight's game, actually. O.J. Howard, he went off tonight, actually. He had 7 catches for 73 yards. 6 catches for 72 yards. And then Vance McDonald, 4 catches for 112 yards and a touchdown. Jesse James was the hot pickup last week, but actually Vance McDonald had the big game this week. So it's really hard to say with that Pittsburgh offense who they're going to throw to at tight end, but Vance McDonald might be worth a look if you're looking for a good tight end this week as well.
Yeah, he was awesome. Absolutely. The way he pushed over Chris Conti, just took him by the head and just threw him like a rag doll and ran for a 70-yard touchdown. And I was pretty impressed by that. I do have him in my Dynasty league, so his value just shot way up for me. possibly some trade bait even. So we'll see what happens. Totally agree with you. Clements should be favored over Smallwood, but both of them are must-owns. Ajayi's kind of a China doll. He gets hurt a little bit. Baker Mayfield, if he's not owned, grab the kid. He's good. He was great at Oklahoma. He's an NFL quarterback. He reminds me of a young Drew Brees. We'll see if he lives up to it. Way too early to make that comparison, so I'm not making it. I'm just saying kind of what he reminds me of. So C.J. Beathard is somebody that you can think of, but I don't like their dink and dunk offense that they're going to have to do at the Niners anyway. There's some better options out there, I think, as well. I got John Ross III, if not Tyler Boyd, if A.J. Green's out. It's about time John Ross, the fastest guy in the NFL, ran that 4.22 40, get some touches. So he could be a sleeper this week. Completely agree with you with Calvin Ridley. Completely. He's a must-own for sure. Chris Ivory, like you said, with LaShawn McCoy out. Ryan Tannehill, he's doing much better. It's shocking. And he doesn't have a high ceiling, but he's got a pretty high floor. And so he's someone that could manage the game, I think, for you a little bit. And same with Case Keenum if you owned, unfortunately, Jimmy Garoppolo. Buck Allen, just like you said, this is the last time I'm going to say it this year. Pick him up, I believe he had 7 targets. Taylor Gabriel for the Bears had 10 targets, which was kind of surprising for me. I think that could have been a function of Patrick Pearson guarding Allen Robinson, but he definitely got out-targeted. And the Bears under Nagy likes to target their slot receiver. And speaking of slot receivers, Christian Kirk got 8 targets from now with Josh Allen possibly starting and a waiver wire pickup as well. Christian Kirk's going to get more targets, I think, and I kind of like him sitting out there too.
He's Rosen, not Allen, right?
Oh, you're right. Sorry about that. I meant Rosen. Yeah, Josh Rosen is starting most likely. They saw Baker Mayfield. They're going to make that move as well. I don't see any reason, why not to do that. So I think that's a good move. Julian Edelman, he's not back next week, but he's back the week after, and it's quite obvious that the Patriots need Julian Edelman. Could be available in some leagues. Some people might have got frustrated and dropped him. He's going to be a big pickup this week, not for next, but the one after. So possibly if you see him lurking on the waiver wire, a lot of people sort by points last week or total points for the year. Well, you'll never see him doing that. So just do a name search for Julian Edelman to see if he's available. Jalen Richard. He's got 7 targets as a running back because beast mode is now beast old. So I think they're going to work him in more, especially now that they're losing the Raiders. They'll need to throw him the ball and get him some touches. So moving into breakout players, players that you don't normally start that I think would be good starts here. Call me crazy, but C.J. Beathard is playing that Chargers defense. It's a beatdown defense. Joey Bosa's still out. I think Beathard might, he might get a couple TDs here, so he could be a breakout player. And obviously, he's going to be the starter. So you have to say C.J. Beathard. I'm going to go with O.J. Howard against a bad Bears defense when it comes to guarding the tight ends. Bears are great at rushing the quarterback, and when you rush the quarterback, it makes them way better at throwing to tight ends. They want to get rid of the ball on a shorter route. The Bears are giving up tons of points to tight ends, as you've seen the last couple weeks. So I think O.J. Howard is a sneaky start for the against the Bears for Tampa Bay. Geronimo Allison versus Buffalo. Buffalo's in a letdown spot here, obviously, after beating the Vikings. I think Geronimo Allison could torch this team. Phillip Lindsay versus Kansas City. He's pissed probably for being suspended that last game. Kansas City's defense is horrible. So I like Lindsay for the Broncos. And I also like Demaryius Thomas for the Broncos. Those are two Broncos that definitely should be able to put up some points. And then I'm going to go with Michael Crabtree and John Brown versus Pitt's defense. Pitt's defense is horrible. They can't cover anybody. As long as the quarterback is, halfway decent, not throwing picks like Fitzmagic did tonight, you should be looking good with Michael Crabtree or John Brown. Why don't you go ahead with your breakout players?
Sounds good. Got a couple rookies, quarterbacks, actually, that I really like as breakout players this week. Josh Allen, actually, for the Buffalo Bills. He had a solid week this past week. He had 3 touchdowns against the Vikings, and the Vikings actually have a good D. Packers do not have a good D. Their secondary is young, inexperienced, and Kentrell Bryce got burned several times last week and couldn't tackle, so definitely like Josh Allen this week as a breakout player. Probably could be a high-scoring game as well because the Bills don't have a very good defense as well. So I do like that matchup here. Packers at home, too. Will be putting up some points. So Josh Allen will be playing catch-up, so I like him as a breakout player this week. My other boy, Baker Mayfield. Here we go again with this guy. He's a breakout player again as well this week. Raiders, I don't like their secondary or defense as well. Baker Mayfield played well last week after coming for Tyrod Taylor, and he's getting the start this week. Browns with their second win this week. I like him as a breakout player as well. In Frisco, C.J. Beathard, another young quarterback. Chargers defense, like you said, but with Bosa out, they still haven't been the same ever since Bosa's been out. He's a difference maker on that defense. C.J. Beathard, I look for him to have a solid game, not spectacular, but he could definitely be a low-end breakout player this week. 200-plus yards, maybe 2 touchdowns. Definitely like him this week as well, filling in for Jimmy Garoppolo. He's definitely got the weapons around him as well. I definitely agree with you, Kiev, on the Broncos running backs. It's really hard to say who's going to get the touches there. They've been splitting carries kind of with Freeman and Lindsey there. But I do like both of them as breakout players this week. I like Freeman and Lindsey to have a good game against the Chiefs. It's going to be high scoring because the Chiefs put up a ton of points. And then the Broncos are going to be playing catch up too to keep up with my boy Pat Mahomes. So definitely like the running backs there and even Thomas and Sanders there as well. So they're going to be throwing the ball a lot with the Chiefs scoring so many points like they usually do. And then Rosen actually for the Cardinals, the quarterback heavy here, but I like him at having a breakout as well. Seahawks defense, they lost a lot of their veterans on defense over the last couple of years. They're young and they're a little bit banged up at cornerback as well on defense. So I do like Rosen actually to have a breakout week too in his first start for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I think they're going to dumb down their playbook a little bit so it makes it easier on Rosen. When Definitely. He came in against the Bears, you can tell he wasn't ready. But they're gonna have between 5 and 15 plays, pass plays for him, and some simple misdirections and some run plays. So I think that they're gonna make it so Josh Rosen can be successful against the Seahawks here.
I agree.
Is that it?
That's all I got right now.
All right. Well, that brings us to your biggest sleeper of the week, your Dnasty sleeper of the week, my man. And who would that be that's going to win me a fantasy game?
Baker Mayfield, staying with that theme. I like him a lot. So we'll see what he does this week against the Raiders. That's my Dnasty pick of the week.
That's right, man. And I wonder who you'd bench him for. Like if it's Deshaun Watson against Baker Mayfield, and they're playing the Raiders, and you're like, man, Watson has been suspect, and and then you got Baker Mayfield just poised and ready to rip. Oh man, that's a tough one.
It is.
So I think there's only a few quarterbacks this week you'd start over Baker Mayfield really, and it's probably Aaron Rodgers, probably Brady, Drew Brees, Mahomes, probably Matt Ryan, and Fitzpatrick and Roethlisberger maybe. But geez, it's not. There's nothing guaranteed here. I think that Baker Mayfield's probably a top 10 fantasy quarterback this week, so that's definitely going to give you some thoughts there on starting him. Definitely breakout player, sleeper. Dante Moncrief I have because he's playing the Jets defense, and I think that Moncrief, after the Jaguars got their butts beat and Blake Bortles couldn't do nothing, they usually rebound and do pretty well. So I have him as my nasty sleeper of the week that, could possibly be a starter here. So I'm going to go with Moncrief. He was good a couple weeks ago. and he wasn't last week, so I'm going back to the well with him. So, any other thoughts, my friend, for fantasy next?